Hi there and welcome. Today we're going to recap episodes 5 and 6 of Netflix's animated series Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Find out what happens next in our third of 4 parts as we take you through this awesomely colorful anime based on the original Scott Pilgrim comic book series. That's also voiced by the cast of the 2010s cult classic Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Episode 5. This episode is entirely behind-the-scenes documentary for a movie about Scott, which we learn fell apart. The cast takes turns being interviewed, like in The Office. Rock stars Envy Adams and Toona Ingram admit that they've never acted, but point out that they're super famous, which is basically the same thing. Young Neil reveals that the whole shoot feels a little blurry, more like he needs glasses. Ramona, who got hired as Envy's stunt double, is super awkward when she's asked about having the same name as one of the main characters. She's surprisingly good at her job, and her brutal honesty leaves the interviewer speechless.
Actually, I only took this job because security realized I wasn't working on the movie and I needed an excuse to be on set so I could get close enough to Todd to find out if he used a vegan portal to kidnap this guy I went out with one time.
Wallace is smug as usual, telling the interviewer that the only thing better than being himself is getting paid to be himself. While shooting the scene 43, Todd fails to follow the director's instructions and ends up heavily making out with Envy in every take. In a separate interview, Envy reveals that she and Todd have been together since they were 11 years old. Later, Wallace approaches the extremely frustrated director with a solution. For the next take, he implements the actor's suggestion. Instead of Todd making out with Envy, the director wants the main character to do it with Wallace instead. Fireworks erupt surrounding the pair with sparks as everyone else looks on in shock. Todd is left reeling from the kiss with Wallace, who then drags him away to supposedly practice lines in Todd's trailer several times a day. However, Envy believes that Todd is her destiny. Even when they were with other people, Todd dated Ramona, Envy dated Scott. They always came back to each other. Ramona reveals her history with Todd back in high school. Todd told her that the love of his life was waiting for him back in Canada, but they still made out behind the school. Presently, Ramona finally gets to talk to Todd, but he's distracted by Wallace and portals away. The next day, Ramona helps to pull Todd away from Wallace, but he's fallen deeply in love with his co-star. When he breaks up with Envy, she confronts Wallace about their relationship. Wallace tells Todd that theirs is just a on-set fling that will end once the filming does. Todd is terribly upset and teleports away as Envy fights with Wallace.
You broke my boyfriend! Prepare to die!
He tells her to have some dignity and fights with his stunt double instead.
Wallace Wells versus Envy Adams. Fight!
But Wallace's 4 stuntmen go up against Ramona, but they're no match for her. From the sidelines, Wallace throws mean comments at his double, which hurt their feelings, so they give up. Ramona finally discovers what the fight is about and decides to get Todd to listen to her. She and Envy head to his trailer, where we find him so heartbroken that he's given up the vegan life. He dramatically shows them around the trailer, which holds the memories of the first time he fell in love. This infuriates Envy, who exclaims she's done with him.
All right, I'm too famous for this conversation. We're done. Goodbye.
Hold on.
But Ramona stops her from leaving, insisting that they talk about the real Scott Pilgrim. She accuses Todd of kidnapping Scott, showing them the video of the portal. Envy says that Todd couldn't have made such a high-quality vegan portal, which the guy doesn't deny. Envy fires her as Ramona quits at the same time. Just as Ramona's left the studio, a helicopter lands and Matthew steps out, firing everyone and ending the documentary. Steven and Knives approach Matthew about an opportunity, and he agrees to meet with them the following week, dramatically tossing them a solid gold calling card. When Ramona confronts him, he says he's shutting down the movie because his character in the script lost to Scott, which he finds insulting as he literally punched Scott to death. Ramona tells him that Scott is alive and that someone made it look like Matthew won. The CEO is shocked. He tells Ramona that the confidence he got from thinking he won the fight made him go up against Gideon. Ramona is stunned to hear that Matthew won and took over everything from Gideon. When she asks where the former league leader is, Matthew's reply is that he's shacking up with Julie, also revealing that Gideon's real name is Gordon Goose. Ramona skates away to have a talk with Julie Powers as a robot spies on her from the bushes. Episode 6. Julie's house, Gordon is living the couch potato life, watching anime and snacking. Just then he receives a phone call. It's Lucas, who asks him for advice as he too has lost everything. He also apologizes.
Forgiveness is what you want? Well, I have something entirely different in mind.
Next thing we know, Lucas appears at the house, spending the day with Gordon. They have fun playing video games together, cooking, building an indoor skate ramp, and binging anime dramas. They're still watching when Julie arrives, looking angry and shocked at the mess. When she asks what's up with the robot, the men don't know what she's talking about. Suddenly, the said robot comes to life and breaks Julie's window to escape. Early in the morning, Ramona changes her hair color again before heading to Julie's house. Hearing her skates, Gordon shouts for Julie to invite Ramona in, but realizes they're out of chips. The two women have a slightly awkward conversation on how Julie is now with Ramona's ex. Julie sees him as a regular guy, Gordon, not the gazillionaire named Gideon. They head out for chips. Meanwhile, at the band headquarters, Stefan and Knives are busy composing a song. Kim asks how they managed to get the CEO of G-Man Media to bankroll their project. Knives says it was her idea. When they met with Matthew, she'd read that he was an aspiring Broadway obsessive, so she pitched an off-Broadway musical featuring the CEO as the star. Matthew immediately approved Scott Pilgrim's precious little musical. Stephen and Knives assure Neil that they're making every effort to treat the material with respect as they adapt his work. However, Neil doesn't care much for his screenplay, which horrifies Stephen. Neil explains it's because he doesn't remember writing it, which confuses his friends, so they decide to investigate. Checking Neil's computer, they discover something surprising.
Look. We have to tell Ramona about this.
Knives is initially reluctant, so Kim tells her that while everyone else moved on with their lives, Ramona has been trying to uncover the truth about Scott's disappearance, which convinces the girl. At the cafe, Julie tells Ramona about Gordon's past. Back in high school, Gordon Goose was the weirdest kid in her year. He looked weird and everyone called him fearless because he wore his No Fear t-shirts every day. Taking his nickname too seriously, he approached the most popular girl in school, giving her a 12-point business plan on why she should date him. The girl harshly rejected him in front of the entire school, who then laughed at him. He moved away after that. Julie had no idea that Gideon Graves was Gordon. Ramona shares what her experience was like dating Gideon Graves.
When I was with him, Gordon, was a twitchy, rage-filled, impulsive, emotionally abusive, controlling, manipulative egomaniac. But if he makes you happy, that's good, I guess.
However, Julie reveals she isn't happy in the moment. Gordon initially wanted revenge, which she found quite attractive. But a few days later, she says that it was like the evil drained out of him. Ramona believes that Gordon is actually plotting something and muses that perhaps the League was just a smokescreen for ultra-secret kidnapping plot. When she suggested that Julie and Gordon be in on it together, the barista assures her that it's not the case. Gordon's just a loser. Ramona sighs and crosses their names off of her list. Julie then invites her to come over, saying Gordon wanted to apologize to her. Back to the present, Ramona wonders where she'd seen the robot before when Julie scolds the two men for messing up her home. She's about to fight the boys when Ramona steps in.
Julie Bowers versus Lucas Lee and Gordon Goose. Fight!
Stop!
She firmly tells Lucas that she can't live with Julie, then turns to Gordon advising him to treat his girlfriend better than he did her. Fortunately, the two men are contrite. Before Ramona leaves, she asks everyone if they recognize the robot, and Lucas tells her it's the twins' work, which reminds her of something vital. She skates off into one of the star doors. Lucas bids them goodbye and departs as well. Now alone, Gordon reveals to Julie that while she was throwing a pity party, he was also coming up with an elaborate plan to take revenge on Matthew Patel. Julie finds his scheming hot. They kiss, and she demands that they clean up her house first. Meanwhile, Ramona arrives home and finds Scott's band members with knives waiting for her. Knives says that they have vital information, while Ramona claims that she's cracked the case. In her kitchen, Ramona explains why she thinks the culprit who kidnapped Scott was the twins, Ken and Kyle. When she was still in college, the twins were her TAs. They were players who wouldn't leave Ramona alone, so she played with them both right back by dating them both at the same time. As the vegan portal used to kidnap Scott was superior to Todd's, Ramona believes it's the work of a superior vegan, a vegan robot created by the twins. She plays the footage from the rocket before the sex bomb went on stage and Scott disappeared, where we clearly see the same robot.
There you have it. The who, the why, and the how. Ken and Kyle Katayanagi, the twins I spurned in college, kidnapped Scott Pilgrim by using their robot's unique capabilities to create the most powerful vegan portal of all time. It's simple, really.
Knives wonders where Scott is, but Ramona figures that if she finds the twins, she'll find Scott. Nearly forgetting why they came to visit, the group shares their discovery with Ramona. Neil wasn't the author of Scott Pilgrim's Precious Little Life, the screenplay, which was actually written 14 years in the future. Ramona is stunned, but then the doorbell rings and they get an even bigger surprise. It's Scott. He confirms that it was the twins' robot who abducted him, but the mastermind orchestrating everything was Scott himself.
It was me. I did it.
So what did you think of these episodes? Leave it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this recap, please like and subscribe for more. See you next time.